I was sitting there starting to kind of spiral in my anxiety about socializing. And I stopped and I thought about how anxiety and excitement are parallel paths in the brain and that you can shift that lens and trick your brain. And so I did. I started saying all of the things I was excited about for this event. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wildeson. I am so excited for this week's episode. I have so much to fill you in on from the last week. It's crazy that it's only been a week since we last chatted, but as always, life just keeps on going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I am white knuckling it and just trying to hold on for dear life. So, as you guys know, February was a lie-in for me. I had a lot going on. 2 doses of Rituxan, a chemotherapy. I had an endometriosis excision surgery that took 4 hours instead of an hour and a half. And I had 5 days of IVIG. So February was brutal. And because old habits die hard, when I went back to work on my first Monday, I somehow pulled a 14-hour workday. And I swear I was not planning on that. I just blinked, looked at the clock, and was like, oh my God, I need to shut my computer and go to sleep. So I think I pulled that really long workday for a couple of reasons. 1, I was super excited. Just excited to get back into my normal routine. 2, I had a lot of catch-up work I had to do. You guys know I work like 3 or 4 jobs essentially. 3, that is a very much learned habit that I am actively trying to break up with. That my viewpoint of success is like accomplishing tasks and how productive I am. And I define sometimes my self-worth by that. But I'm breaking up with that entire thesis, and I am trying to make a shift, a very intentional shift, about how I define my self-worth, what I see as success in a day, and how, like, what steps I'm taking to actually achieve that. But before we dive into all of that, a couple housekeeping things per usual. First, if you guys don't mind, follow, like, subscribe, send this to a friend, post it in a Reddit thread or Facebook group. It helps so much. You guys are truly the engine that grows this podcast community and family. And if I can share one little fun fact about our community is I have been getting DMs from you guys saying, I have met my new soul sister best friend. We met via the Calling in Sick or the Sick Chicks group chat on Instagram, and we've been talking nonstop every day. That is truly like why I launched Calling in Sick and why I wanted to create this community. Y'all know about my group chat of the ladies who Autoimmune that started like back in 2020. And I wanted to find a way to have other people that were chronically sick be able to find their people, their ladies who Autoimmune group chat, and make really, really real, wonderful, deep friendships with people online. And I think it's starting to happen naturally and organically, which is a pinch me excited moment. So keep it up. Go find your besties in this community. They are right out there waiting for you guys. Second, housekeeping. You guys know that I am now asking every week for y'all to drop a comment on the podcast responding to a question. So since this week, I'm focusing on redefining success and self-worth, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about this concept called glimmers. I want y'all to drop a comment about a glimmer from this week that you are leaning into to help you see yourself in a new light, to view your self-worth differently, and maybe see success differently. And so my glimmer of this week was actually last night. It is South by Southwest here in Austin, which is this very cool clusterfuck of creatives, founders of companies, brands, musicians, actors, just interesting. A bunch of interesting people all here in the city. It becomes so alive and electric. It's hard to not be excited, which is maybe why I didn't sleep very well last night, because I was just on a high from this event I went to. HigherDOSE came to Austin, and they curated a 20-person experiential evening and dinner. They are one of my favorite Bible brands. I swear by them. I use them daily. I think everyone needs one. I record my podcast and sit on my PEMF or PEMF mat every single day for 6 to 8 hours. And so when I got the email and they invited me to this dinner, I had a glimmer. I'm just kind of starting to ramp up my content creating and social media career more this year. I've been at it for about a year now, I guess. And to see things that I had put on my vision board start to come to real life has been so, so, so cool. But my glimmer isn't that I was able to go to the event or that I was invited to the event. The glimmer was when I was there, I wasn't on my phone. No one was on their phone. And it was all these content creators, where usually if we go to an event, it's not just encouraged, but you're supposed to be capturing videos and content. We were all so engrossed in conversation, finding like-minded people that are passionate about their own health journey and helping other people navigate or start and kick off their health journey or recommit to their health journey. Every conversation was so inspiring. When I got home, I could not wipe the smile off of my face. My cup was so full for so many different reasons. But my glimmer was that I had this moment, this God wink moment of, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I'm supposed to be here right now. This is the path I'm on, and I feel like there's good things ahead. Not from a success standpoint, but a life standpoint. I'm very into vision boarding, manifesting, praying, knowing and being intentional about chasing your dreams and the life that you want to have for yourself. And part of that for me is making my tribe, finding my people that I want to surround myself with. And I think it's interesting trying to kind of break into this like health and wellness content creator space. As someone with a chronic illness, I totally have imposter syndrome. I keep all the rules 100% of the time. I'm very much an 80-20. I try my best and that's all I can do kind of gal. And I know that my story is in the health and wellness kind of creator space. I think there's a narrative about being healthy, and if you are sick or are too focused on being sick, or if you're using Western medicine, like that's not right. And so when I went to this event, I was like a little bit nervous of, am I going to fit in? Are people going to judge me for how I navigate my health? Am I going to be judged for not adhering to every single wellness quote unquote rule on the textbook? And it was just not that at all. I had this anxious narrative I had crafted in my brain that was ridiculous. But when I was in the car heading there, I had my second glimmer of the day. I was sitting there starting to kind of spiral in my anxiety about socializing. And I stopped and I thought about how anxiety and excitement are parallel paths in the brain, and that you can shift that lens and trick your brain. And so I did. I started saying all of the things I was excited about for this event. And that was maybe making new friends, getting to talk to and get to know the people behind the brands that run the community and influencer engagement. That was being able to do a wellness circuit of PEMF mats, infrared, saunas, and cold plunges, and eat a really healthy organic dinner. I was excited for the conversations with other people that loved health and wellness and striving to feel better. And I was so happy at the end of the night. That was my third glimmer. So when I got home, I realized every single person I talked to, it wasn't about striving for perfection. It was striving for happiness. And that was kind of the through line between everybody there. It was, I am doing these things because I want to feel better, of course, but the North Star, success, was joy. And it was just this beautiful evening. So huge shout out to HigherDOSE. Thank you for making an experience within all the noise of South by Southwest that was so focused on the simplicity of joy and taking a beat for yourself and connecting with nature and your soul and other people around you. It was so beautiful. So, of course, one of my Alex picks of the week has to be something HigherDOSE. And I was kind of thinking, like, which one should I choose? Because there's so many different amazing HigherDOSE products. And the one that I want to talk about is the PEMF, or PEMF, as some people I learned last night call it, that pulse electromagnetic frequency. There is so much science behind it. I am not the person to describe that to you, but ChatGPT most certainly will if you want to investigate. Also, the HigherDOSE website and Instagram can explain it certainly better than I can. Why I love it, though, is it has totally reshaped how I manage pain. I had a relatively sleepless night last night. I had a bunch of aches in my body, could not get comfortable. And at one point, I just got up and I went and I laid on my PEMF mat. It kind of helps reset your circadian rhythm. It's heated, so it relaxes all of those pains and aches and pains in your body. And it's just very grounding. Sitting on it now, I sit on it for 6 to 8 hours a day. I don't know if there is a limit of how much you're supposed to sit on it. Maybe there is. But so far, no harm, no foul. I live and swear by this thing. I travel with it. It is a pretty penny. However, I have a discount code for you guys. And pro tip, you can use an HSA or an FSA account. And if you do the girl math like I do on that one, HSA and FSA dollars can only be spent on health and wellness. And if you don't spend them, sometimes by the end of the year, they disappear. So you might as well treat yourself with something as amazing, habit-changing, pain relief-giving as the HigherDOSE PEMF mat. Link below, discount code below. DM me if you have any questions. Happy to answer them or at least point you in the right direction. And my second pick of the week is the PMD Clean Pro brush. I have a little funny story behind it. I don't know if you guys remember the Clarisonic brushes that we grew up with in the early 2000s. Being chronically ill, having some eczema and psoriasis issues, my skin is sensitive as fuck. That Clarisonic brush broke and tore my skin to smithereens. I had exacerbated my eczema, I had acne issues, I had an oily face all of a sudden. So I have been pretty anti any kind of vibrating brush on my face since I was 13. It was a scarring experience. However, I have a rule of thumb that if there is something in the health and wellness space that a lot of people are saying good things about, and I do some research and investigating and I confirm that it's a good thing, I will give it a go. Or I will think about giving it a go. So PMD sent me a ping and they said, hey, we'd love for you to try one of these tools and let us know what you think. So I decided I'd give this vibrating face device a go. And I'm so happy I did. It has been amazing. If I had enough money to go get a facial every single month or every single quarter, man, that would be the life. I would love that. That's on my vision board for one day. But since that's not my current reality, this brush has unlocked the same feeling that your face gets after a massage. It is able to remove gunk that is so deep in your pores. I don't know the science behind it, but it works. My skin, I'll let you guys decide, but it's looking pretty glowy and pretty dewy these days. And I really think that that brush and adding it to my routine has been a game changer. Even more exciting though, I have a 30% off discount code for y'all. It's only going to last about 2 weeks. You can use it for anything on their website. And I think because February and candidly January were such shitstorms for everyone, you need to treat yourself. And this is a light touch, amazing little self-care thing that you can do. The code is AlexandraW30, 30% off site-wide. Link in the description below. Again, always DM me if you have questions. Okay, so at the top of the episode, I shared a little bit about how when I jumped back into the deep end in March with work and life and socializing and everything, I overdid it. I worked this super long day and I had to pay the price later on that week. I crashed and burned so hard. Cooper had to literally baby me and tuck me into bed at 5 p.m., I think Tuesday or Wednesday night, because I had overdone it. I was an overcooked chicken. And I had overdone it, and I overdid it for a couple of reasons. One, I had a lot of shit I had to get done. a very long to-do list that was overwhelming, and I just wanted to accomplish things on it so I wouldn't feel so anxious and overwhelmed. 2, I was excited. I had to spend most of January and February in that box, like I talked about last week, really managing my spoons, being hyper vigilant about not flaring. And since I was feeling better and I had the energy to do things, I just wanted to. And that's okay. That's totally okay. The third thing is we live in a culture, in a world where checking things off your to-do list, being successful, working hard is not just admired and encouraged, but glorified almost. And I grew up as a little kid who was so action-oriented and so goal-focused that I very much just kind of fit right into that narrative that our society has. Now, being chronically sick does not pair super well with that line of thinking. And I think when you can't break up with that, you start to carry this chip on your shoulder of, okay, I have to outwork everyone else. If I have a sick day, I have to work 2 times as hard the next day so people can still see my value in this workplace. It's exhausting. It is a hamster wheel that we put ourselves on, and it's really fucking hard to break up with, especially when you're in certain jobs or fields that don't just encourage but support that kind of thinking. Now, from the first 10 years of my career, that was the environment I was in. So candidly, breaking up with that narrative of success and self-worth is all defined by working hard and being number one and sacrificing everything at all costs for my job and my work product. And then I had my spinal injury that changed everything. I lost my job. I was on medical leave. They couldn't extend it anymore. And I had to figure out my next chapter. And I kind of fell happenstance into entrepreneurship, and I've loved it. And one thing I was not intentional about when I first started was breaking up with some of those old habits. But the nice thing about working with your sister is that you push each other to figure out what are those like past work traumas or even just like character traits that we don't love about ourselves. What are they? Do we have to carry them forward? And how do we break up with them if we don't want to? And when you work with your sister, like you really hold up a mirror to each other and you're like, hey, that's not working for you, which is really, really interesting and cool. So my big aha moment was this year working together and realizing I had this ongoing anxiety that was totally misplaced of if I had down days like February, if I had down periods because of my health, i.e. most of February, why did I need to work a 14-hour day on Monday? My sister didn't care if the to-do list got done all at once. There was nobody I was proving I was working hard to. Everyone on my team knows I work hard, and I work in a way that is sustainable and good for my health. And most importantly, why was I still clinging so tightly onto this concept that my self-worth and my identity and how I viewed success was tied to not just accomplishing a lot of things and working hard, but other people's perception of me working. Now, I do want to caveat that there are times and there's totally a place where working hard is necessary and needed, and that grit, that ability to get through it, is a tool. But I have now realized I don't want that to be my identity. I love that I can be gritty, but I don't want to be gritty. I want to be the person that gives myself grace, that says, hey, let's be grateful that you just can spend some spoons today, but let's not overdo it. Like, let's give ourselves grace that to-do list does not need to all get done today. And hey, wake-up call reminder, there's always going to be something on the to-do list. Our brains can constantly make up things that we need to do. So as I look back to how I started this month, where I totally fell back into old habits die hard, I'm now taking the step forward of saying, hey, let's use this moment as a God wink. Let's find the glimmers. What do I want to actually have as my definition of success? What does self-worth mean to me? And can I redefine productivity to be something different than what it currently is, not just so execution oriented? So I want to invite you guys to take this opportunity and reframe what success means to you. And I'm just going to be shooting from the hip and doing it live right now, so don't hold me to these things. Maybe I'll change them in a week. We'll see. But I think these are my North Stars. So my first one is community. This amazing group that we're building through Calling in Sick, podcast, content creation, everything. I see so much light and joy and just authenticity in the DNA there. And that gives me joy when I see this community growing. When I see people having these little offshoots and creating their own friendships and friend groups. When I see an impact being made to someone's day because they either learned something new from this whole thing, or they had a validation where they felt not so alone, or they got to laugh and have a lighthearted moment, perhaps in a period of heaviness. That is such a North Star to me, is being a part of and giving to this community. My second one is to lean into the glimmers. I am someone who is inherently positive, but you guys know I struggle with anxiety and depression. And last night, someone said a great quote to me, that anxiety is living in the future and depression is living in the past. And so glimmers live in the present. And even though I struggle with these two kind of battling emotions and versions of me, I guess, I view success when I can just sit in the now, feel whatever is right there, be present with whoever is around me in that moment, and be grateful that I can actually sit in the now. That brings my heart really a lot of joy, and it fills my cup. And then I think my third is this Japanese phrase or term, ikagi. And I'm not going to remember what all of those are right now, because like I said at the top, I've got like 1.5 brain cells. In Alex's words, it is chasing your dreams and not blocking yourself from things. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but when I have stepped out of my own way, so many good things have fallen into place. A lot of that is mindset shift of I don't deserve, or I do deserve, or that won't work for me because of blah, or I can't do this because of blah. If I can get out of my own way and enjoy life and pursue that ikagi narrative, that's the life I want to live, where I am chasing my passions, I'm doing what I love, I'm surrounded by the people that I love. That seems like a life worth living to me. And when I think about all of those 3 North Stars, the injecting light into the world, the living in the now, and to chase your dreams and don't block yourself from a reality you can have, all of those things bundle into, I think, joy. I think joy. I think chasing joy and sitting, and what that doesn't mean is being toxically positive or like dopamine chasing. But the joy that comes from gratitude, from noticing glimmers, from being joyful with the right now and what we have, if that makes sense. And when I compare that to how I have kind of defined success in my life throughout my career and whatnot, it is like the polar opposite. Because living in the glimmers, living in gratitude, has really nothing to do with accomplishing a to-do list at all. And I like having success being defined by joy a whole hell of a lot more than success being defined by productivity. So when I think about how I'm going to integrate those things into my life and try to strike a chord of better balance and not overdoing it, I think the through line is to stay in the present and to pace myself. Because if I can start my day and time block everything with ChatGPT and Echo and figure out what I need to accomplish in a day, then I can look at that list with gratitude that I have the energy to do however much of it I can, and give myself the grace to then stop when I'm done and go enjoy the glimmers. I will check back in next week to see how well I'm doing on that. But what I'm not going to do is define my success or my self-worth on how well I make this transition, but instead be grateful and hold space for the fact that I am opening my brain and my life to making this transition. And I'm excited to hear what y'all think about these moments in time and these reframes, and how you are going to challenge yourself to redefine success and self-worth and to stop putting so much damn weight on productivity like me. Okay, and because, per usual, I've got now half a brain cell left, it's time for the new segment, the One Brain Cell segment. You guys, I introduced this whole area last week, basically because I think as a group of chronic illness baddies, we get the opportunity to find low energy, high dopamine activities, be it reading, TV shows, games, hobbies, what have you. Last week I gave you guys a TV show rec that I binged in one sitting, and because I spent most of February Netflix and chilling, my one brain cell rec for this week is also a TV show. But it's a pretty high stakes TV show, I would say. It's Traitors, and it's on Peacock. It is hilarious. Traitors blends a bunch of different types of reality TV shows, from the Bravo world to the game show world like Survivor, and it pushes all these people together in a room, and you really get to see their kind of true colors come out, because they're stripped away from having to be in this narrative of creating drama, but instead are having to figure out ways to save themselves. And I think when you are in fight or flight mode like that, sometimes your characteristics start to pop up. So it has been fascinating from a people watching perspective. And my favorite person so far to watch has been Zac Efron's younger brother, Dylan. It is so clear to me that when at episode 1, he was coming in to redefine himself as not Zac Efron's brother. And midway through the season, when he was deep in the game and was beyond, and he had pushed himself beyond trying to portray a certain persona, you saw the real him. And he seemed really fucking cool. And I loved watching that evolution of, hey, I'm trying to look like this, and this is who I want people to see me as, to, hey, this is who I really am. I think that's such a cool thing that this TV show can offer to us. And maybe that's a nice parallel to this week's episode of, us defining success by society and trying to be that persona and fit into the box that's that narrative, and saying, hey, chronic illness is kind of like Traitors, I guess. It shakes it up. It makes us not be able to focus on that. So we might as well use it as an opportunity to redefine success, and what are our core values, and what is our self-worth? What defines it? What defines our joy? That might be a bit of a stretch, but I kind of like it. But the reason I was going to bring it up wasn't because of this philosophical evolution of the individuals on the TV show, but the comfort of watching a competition and not having to use the brain cells to be participatory in the competition. They do a great job of bringing their viewers right into the game. You feel like you're right there. Cooper and I are gabbing about what we think is going to happen. We've got coffee bets on the table. It is exciting. It fuels my competitive nature in a very relaxed, non-fight or flight way, which we all need. And before I wrap, I saw a great Instagram post this week about shows that are upcoming on a bunch of different streaming platforms. I love Seth Rogen. He has a new TV show coming out on Apple TV. It's called The Studio. I know nothing about it. I will be covering that, don't you guys worry, in a One Brain Cell segment in the near future. when it's released, and I sit down and inevitably binge every single episode in one sitting. And that's a wrap. I am going to go give myself some grace. I'm going to go sit in my pillars of I'm going to try to focus how I define my self-worth in, which is living in the now and maybe taking a beat. I think I need to go relax a little bit and unplug my brain. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here every Monday with me, calling in sick. I truly, truly, truly am so fueled, and my cup is so full from just being with this community of people. Thank you for making so many glimmers and bright spots in my day and my week, time and time again. Y'all are truly amazing, and I love you so much. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly, truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.